Well, thank you, and thanks for the kind introduction. I also want to thank you, Governor Warner, and your fellow governors for your leadership in hosting this education summit on America's high schools. It is rare to bring together people with such broad responsibilities and focus their attention on a single issue. But if there is one single issue worthy of your focused attention, it is the state of America's high schools. Many of us here have stories about how we came to embrace high schools as an urgent cause. Let me tell you that story for myself and my wife, Melinda. Everything we do in our foundation is designed to advance equity. Around the world, we believe we can do the most by investing in health, especially in the poorest countries. Here in this country, we've decided we can do the most by helping to improve the education system. It was some years ago when Melinda and I were really trying to pick our themes and exploring where we'd go in philanthropy that we heard many compelling stories about how financial barriers were keeping minority students from taking their talents to college and making the most of their lives. That led to one of the largest projects for our foundation. We created the Gates Millennium Scholars, which is a program to ensure that talent and energy meet with opportunity for thousands of promising minority students who want to go to college. Many of the scholars come from tough backgrounds, and they could bring tears to your eyes with their hopeful plans for the future. They reinforced our belief that higher education is the best possible path for promoting equality and improving lives in America. Yet the more we looked at the situation, the more we came to see that there's more than one barrier to college. There's the barrier of being able to pay for college, but there's also the barrier of being prepared for college. When we looked at the millions of students that our high schools were not preparing for higher education, and we looked at the damaging impact that has on their lives, we came to a painful conclusion. And that is that America's high schools are obsolete. By obsolete, I don't just mean that they're broken or are flawed or underfunded, though a case could be made for every one of those points. By obsolete, I mean our high schools, even when they're working as designed, cannot teach all our students what they need to know today. Training the workforce of tomorrow with these high schools is like trying to teach kids about today's computers on a 50-year-old mainframe. It's the wrong tool for the times. Our high schools were designed 50 years ago to meet the needs of another age. Until we design them to meet the needs of this century, we will keep limiting and even ruining the lives of millions of Americans every year. Today, only 1/3 of students graduate from high school ready for college, work, and citizenship. 1/3. The other 2/3, most of them low income and minority students, are tracked into courses that won't ever get them ready for college or prepare them for a family wage job, no matter how well the students learn or the teachers teach. This isn't a flaw in the system, it's part of the design of the system. In district after district, wealthy white kids are taught Algebra 2, while low-income kids are taught how to balance a checkbook. The first group goes on to college and career. The second group will struggle to make a living wage. Let's be clear. Thanks to dedicated teachers and principals around the country, the best educated kids in the United States are still the best educated kids in the world. We should be proud of that. But only a fraction of our kids are getting the best education. Once we realize that we're keeping low-income and minority kids out of rigorous courses, there can only be two arguments for keeping it that way. Either we think they can't learn, or we think they're not worth teaching. The first argument would be factually wrong, and the second would be morally wrong. Everyone who understands the importance of education everyone who believes in equal opportunity, everyone who's been elected to uphold the obligations of public office should actually be ashamed that we are breaking our promise of a free education for millions of students. For the sake of these young people and everyone who will depend upon them, we must stop rationing education in America. I'm not here as an education expert. I had a corporation and a foundation. One I get paid for, and the other one costs me money. But both jobs give me a perspective on education in America, and both perspectives leave me appalled. When I compare our high schools to what I see when I'm traveling abroad, I'm terrified for our workforce of tomorrow. In math and science, our fourth graders are among the top students in the world. By eighth grade, they're in the middle of the pack. By 12th grade, United States students are scoring near the bottom of all industrialized nations. We have one of the highest high school dropout rates in the industrialized world. Many who graduate do not go on to college, and many who do go on to college are not well prepared and end up dropping out. The U.S. college dropout rate is also one of the highest in the industrialized world. The poor performance of our high schools is preparing students for college. The poor performance in preparing these kids for college explains why the United States has dropped from first place to fifth place in the percentage of young adults with a college degree. The percentage of a population with a college degree is important, but so are sheer numbers. In 2001, India graduated 1 million more students from college than the United States. China graduates twice as many. And if we compare engineering degrees, China is graduating 6 times as many as the United States. In the international competition to have the best supply of knowledge workers, America is falling behind. This is the heart of the economic argument for better high schools. It essentially says we better do better about giving these kids an education because it's hurting us. But there's also a moral argument for better high schools, and that says we better do something about these kids not getting an education because it's hurting them. Today, most jobs that allow you to support a family require some post-secondary education. This could mean a four-year college, a community college, or a technical school. Unfortunately, only half of all students who enter high school even enroll in any of these post-secondary options. That means that half of all students starting high school today are unlikely to get a job that allows them to support a family. Students who graduate from high school but never go on to college will earn on average about $25,000 a year. For a family of 5, that's close to the poverty line. But if you're Hispanic, you earn less. If you're black, you earn even less, about 14% less than a white high school graduate. Of course, those who drop out have it even worse. Only 40% have jobs. They are nearly 4 times more likely to be arrested than their friends who stay in high school. They are 4 more likely to have kids in their teens. 1 in 4 will turn to welfare or other kinds of government assistance. I think everyone agrees this is a tragedy, but it's the high schools that are letting these kids fall through the cracks. And this can be helped. We designed these high schools, and we can redesign them. But first, we have to understand that it doesn't start with the high school design. They're the result of an assumption that we have to change, and that assumption is about political will. Elected officials have not yet done away with the idea underlying the old design. The idea behind the old design was that you could train an adequate